one of the ideas about being self-sufficient is solar.
Yeah.
We're in a part of the country where the sun is pretty strong most of the year, especially in the summer, but a lot of the year. And we're lucky that we have quite a bit of roof that faces the south. And the south is where, of course, the sun is most of the time. It's only directly overhead in the middle of summer, but the rest of the time it declines to the south. We're looking at putting solar panels on the roof. So that all has to be designed and budgeted for, so because it's going to be quite expensive. But the idea is if we can afford to do it now, we can be self-sufficient for 20 years easily.
That'd be cool.
It would last 20 years. So whole new roof and then solar panels. And the solar panels are a big project because you've got not just the panels, you've got the wiring for the panels, you've got all of the different controllers that control the panels, and then you've got inverters, and then of course you've got batteries. You can tie it into the grid so that you actually have a meter that runs both ways, electrical meter. So when you get power to your panels and you've used it, you can't use it all. It feeds back into the system and you actually get a credit. We don't want that. We don't want to be connected at all. We want to be completely off grid, so that if the power goes down, or we just don't want any, but we just want to be on our own.
Yeah.
So that means we use batteries as storage. So the cool thing is we know a bit about that because we had solar panel on the boat and we had solar panel in the RV. So we have the ability to know something about that. So that'll be fun.
Let's start getting solar.
Right. We got solar panel stuff. So yesterday we had all this delivered, so we pulled it all out and counted it. Tried to make sense of what was what goes where and how it goes together. 49 panels that go up on the roof. As soon as the panels and the bracing for the panels comes next Wednesday, I think. All this stuff here is all parts for the roof. And then there's parts that like this and this that go to all over here. All over here is going to be where the batteries are. These are the batteries in the boxes. These are 7.5 kW batteries, lithium-ion batteries. That's a 15,000 watt inverter. There's 49 solar panels, which create about, on average, 300 watts each. So it's about 15,000 watts when the sun is up high. So 15,000 watts coming in an hour. That should feed us and charge the batteries. And we use the batteries to get through the night and any stormy, cloudy days. We hope that's going to work, but we'll see. There's some cool technology like this piece right here. This is a microinverter. So that's an inverter too, but this is a microinverter. So what this does is this mounts on the back of the panel. The panel plugs in to here, and then it comes out in a daisy chain. And they all come together, all 49 come together. So it comes in as DC volts because solar panels create DC current, direct current. And what we use, of course, is alternating current. So these invert the DC power to AC, 220 volts. So they come out 220 volts. These will all come down through the ceiling, down through here, into a sub panel as 220 volts. And that's what will feed the house through that inverter. So that'll be pretty cool. A lot of those to put on. So right now we're going to figure out how to take these batteries, which weigh 230 pounds each, and they set on this right here. They set on these three ledges right here. You see the backs right here, 1, 2, 3. So they set just like that. So we mount this on the wall, and then those batteries all get connected with the cables to what's called a combiner, which is over there. Battery cables all go into the combiner. And then you take this massive 4-aught cable here. This comes out of the combiner into the inverter. And then it'll feed this panel, new 200 amp panel. That panel that will go upstairs and feed the old panel as a sub panel. And then that wire right there is the wire coming in from the grid. That will come into the inverter and only be used if the inverter finds that it can't handle the power from the panels or the battery. So hopefully we're going to cut our power bill down to about $25 service charge. That hopefully that's all it will be. So I've got these mounted to the wall with tap cons, which are concrete screws, and I'm about to put in more. I'm going to really put a bunch in here, probably double up those, because I didn't realize that those were 230 pounds each. So I'll be hanging 1,000 pounds on this piece of plywood. What you have to do is you have to figure out what your load is in the house. So our load in the summer, and we don't pay attention, we don't conserve like we should, but our power in the summer right now is somewhere between 80 and 100 kilowatts a day. What you have to do is you have to figure out what does it take you either have to match that power if you want to go off the grid, or you have to reduce your power consumption. You get 5 hours of sunlight, 4.5 to 5.5 hours of sunlight in this part of the country. So that converts to, if you say 4 hours times 15 is 4 times 15, that's 60 kilowatts of power from the solar panels. So if you do your math, 60 kilowatts is not going to do 100 kilowatts of the house. So we're going to have to conserve power somehow. We're going to do that several ways. The air conditioning is old. It has to be replaced. There's some new stuff out there. We can reduce our air conditioning output by 30%. We are going to insulate with foam this roof, this ceiling, and the attic. That will cut a tremendous amount of heat loss and heat gain in the summer. Those two ways are two major ways of cutting down the power. So we hope to be able to use solar panel all during the day with enough extra to keep these batteries fully charged. The batteries will be used at night, just a little bit to run the loads at night, and then they'll be charged the next day. Now it'll be interesting to see what happens when we have cloudy days for 3 or 4 days. Now, let's see. 4 batteries, cutoff boxes with fuses, combiner for the batteries, 15 kW inverter charger. Just added this wall, so we've got a flush wall here now. We can mount these things. These batteries weigh 230 pounds. I've got to figure out where the wires come out of these so that I can make sure that I leave enough room for the battery cables. We'll put these mounting plates on. So what we're going to do now is I got to cut this plywood, mount this plywood up. Should be, in theory, right here. Something like that though. One right there. One right there. One right there. One right there. The power comes down right there. So I'm thinking the panel, and I've got all these wires right here. All these wires go up into that panel, and I want them to come down into this panel. So the closer I can get to that panel, the better. So that panel should probably be right here. This thing, this inverter can go 18, 32. If we go up 32, the inverter right here, put the combiner box over here. We're going to try to put these batteries up.
I think we can.
I hope so. They only weigh 230 pounds each.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. So I'll just try to pick it up first and see. Ready? 1, 2. What do you think?
I think it's possible.
Okay.
It's gonna be a little awkward, but
It's going to be real awkward. I need something that I can leverage the ladder. Let's see this one. Get some 2x4s and put them under there. Can you hold that up like that?
yeah, I think so.
Here it comes. There you go.
Yep, down.
You on?
Yep.
All right,
A little bit more.
and push it with your knees. Ooh, the ladder's moving.
I think we're good.
take this thing and you go like that, you go through a rafter, and then the rails go across this way. You slide this into the rail, turn it sideways, tighten it down. That's what holds the panel. Splices, put the rails together. These are the rails that sit on the attachment points that we put in the roof. Attachment points are in rafters. That's why they're in a line up and down. Right here up at the top, you can see there's a rail, and then wider down there's a rail. That's where panels are going to sit, what we call portrait, up and down.
Okay.
There's 6 panels there. And then the next set of rails starts here and goes to here. That's the second set of rails. There'll be 5 panels there. And then if you notice, these 2 panels are real close together. That's because the panels sit landscape like this. And I think I got 3 here. Hopefully 4, but maybe 3, I can't remember. So we put the rails up. The rails are simple. These fancy bolts here. It's a system, it's called Iron Ridge. So these fancy bolts here slide into the rails through this channel right here like this. Okay? And then those bolts just slide right down onto those clamps.
Cool.
And we level them up across the roof, and we hope they're square.
Yeah.
Because if they're not, it's going to be really hard to fix. And then what we got to do is cut the ends off so that we have about 2 inches overhang past the solar panels. The next step is to mount in the middle of where each panel is going to be. And that's going to take some, like there where there's a vent on the roof.
Yeah.
We're going to have to work around that vent. Obviously, we can't put a panel on that vent. So we got to figure out where about the middle of each panel is. And then we have these little boxes about this big, about that thick, called microinverters. Those microinverters are going to convert the DC power that the solar panels make to AC 220 volts.
Awesome.
Yep. And then so all that wiring has got to be done underneath. Then we come in, once we got all of that done through the roof, it's got to drop through the roof on its way down to the panel. Once we get all of that done, then we come up and we put on the panels. And when we put on the panels, we simply lay the panels down. And there's a bolt similar to this, except it goes like this.
Yeah.
And it slides in this rail. And then there's a bolt with a washer.
Cool.
And that's what holds, so you have a panel, the 2 panels come together like this with a bolt in the middle. So there's a bolt here, bolt here, bolt here. There's 4 bolts that hold them down. That's it.
That's it. That's all you need.
Yep, easy.
Easy.
All right, so here's my markings right here for the panel, right?
Yep.
So if the panel is going to be there, we need to go over a couple inches extra.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the panel's there, we need to put I got to put an end piece there. If we say this one is, let's do 1. Let's call that 18 inches over. Just tighten this down. So what'll end up here is that here's the mark right there for the end solar panel. So we'll end up cutting them off about right here.
Okay.
And they have an end cap that goes on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a special bolt for the end piece. Because you know, when you put a bolt in the middle, you got a washer that's on both sides of the panel, right? You got on the end, you've only got on one side, so it would crimp over. So you got the special little piece that goes under there. So we have to have room for that. So these should be good because I don't need the extra, right? But I should have extra on this, on these 2. So if I go, my panel is here, right here. So just go a little extra over, and then let's just measure and see how much we got left over. So the end of the panel is here. There's the next panel, the down one. That's the one that goes down here. That's the last one here, I think. Yeah, it has to be, because you're not going to get 70 inches there. Right? They're 40 inches. They're 40 inches high and 70 inches long. Yeah. So these will sit like this. This panel will sit right here. Be 40. Oh no, it's 71 inches this way. So it'll sit like that. That's the end of the panel right there. So I need to go from right here. That looks like 7 feet. 8. Yep, 7 feet right there. Let's not go through the roof, huh?
Yeah.
Gotta hold it up. I see a problem here.
Oh, it's gonna fall. I can.
Can you hold that? I'll hold this.
Oh my gosh, I have so many things in my hand. I have multiple camera angles at once. Like hold this in one thing, hold this in my mouth.
One. I've got instructions that say that I use 7-footers. So the only way I'm going to get them is cut them off. Because they don't send me 7-footers. They send me 14-footers, right? So that's the only way I can do it.
Yeah. Once there's sometimes where it catches and cuts like butter, just whoosh,
Yeah.
right through.
Well, aluminum is easy to cut. Aluminum is a great material to work with. Of course, I have a new saw blade on here just because. You gotta slide these on, I think.
They're all on. Well, just the railings for the solar panels.
Yep. Next is the inverters, the microinverters. The way we do that, I gotta cut the ends off. But the way we do that is we go, okay, so we got an inch extra, and then we come in 70, half of 72 is 36. So we come in 36 inches right here, and we put a microinverter. That will go 72 inches, so it'll go to right here. The next one will start 3/8 of an inch, so we'll just call it 72 and go another, here, if you can hold this tape from me right here. That way I don't have to do this math. And thanks. See the second mark?
Yeah.
So we go 36 in again? No, that's not right. Not 36. We go 35 and a half, right? Because it's not 72 now, it's 71. 35 and a half, and then 71 should be right here. Oh, it's a little further. My little mark's not right. 71 plus 1 inch. Did I mark the half? I did, didn't I? Yeah, it's right here. So right there, microinverter goes. And right there, a microinverter goes.
Yeah.
For 2 panels. So we do the same for every one of these, right? The measurements will be different on those because it'll be 40. It's 41, so it'll be half of 41. And it doesn't have to be exact. You want the micro panels in the microinverters in the middle of the panel so that the wires all fit nice. Because what we do, we put the microinverters on, we wire together all the microinverters, figure out where we're going to go through the roof with them, and then mount that. We got a panel for that, a little piece for that, a little piece kind of like this, but different.
But first, lunch.
Yeah, first lunch. I got to cool off a little bit. So we got electricians here this morning. We're, as part of the panel installation, we have to put in a new main panel. This is the old panel right here. Get that neutral off of there. What we're doing is we're taking all of these circuits. I should pay attention what I'm doing here. We're taking all of these circuits off so that we can move them downstairs to the new panel. This is an old style panel. Old panel. So these are all these wires are, some of them are live, some of them are not. So we're going to take off. All of these wires go downstairs to the basement, and they're fed from things like the stove, the hot water heater, the air conditioning. So they feed, we're going to move these downstairs. So when the solar panel feeds the main panel downstairs, it'll feed these major powers first. And then we'll run a new wire up here and take this off. This is the feed coming in from the utilities. We'll take this off. We'll put this downstairs. We'll run a feed from downstairs up to here. This will become a secondary panel. This has become a mess. They've got just wires sticking in here, and they've added stuff over the years. So it's become quite the mess. And of course, when you're working in a live panel, you want to kind of be careful because you never know. That neutral's right there. Yeah, so you just got to be careful, right? Because you got to make sure you know what's live and what's not. Well, the thing is about electricity is it'll pass from person to person. So if I get shocked, I'm going to reach and grab you. It'll go right through me into you. Right? That's how you do it. So here's the plan. Plan A. First of all, I just took all the bands off the panels. They seem to be standing here okay, but it's something we really got to watch, because if one goes, they're all going to go. The plan is right now, take a panel off, cut the tie wraps holding the wires, okay? Take it over and put it on sideways on the rails. And then they sent me this cool tool here.
Yeah.
So what I got here is I got 2 hooks. You should be able to just hook it like this. You don't have to hook it on, just hook it under.
Yeah.
And then we should be able to pull it up from the roof. That's the plan. That's plan A.
Okay.
Plan B is to lift them up.
Oh,
But-
I like plan A way more.
Me too. Tell you what, we'll do the
How
first
many
one.
solar panels do we drop before we go to plan B?
Yeah, well, none. Okay.
Okay, let me do my thing
And
first.
you want those inside of the rails.
Yep.
So they don't rub on the rails. Easy peasy. All right, come on up. Let's go to the
far
top.
corner?
Yeah.
Almost one down.
Right?
38 more to go.
Yep, 38.
Oh, cool.
Easy, huh?
I thought it was gonna be way harder.
Oh yeah, no. That's all there is
Do
to
we
it.
want to make sure that it's like even?
We will. And we'll be able to do that when we get the next one on. Okay, so that should hold it.
Yeah.
There's only 4 of those, that's it. That's all there is to it. So these are microinverters. There's one for each panel. There's a row here, there's a row here, and there's a row here. One here, 2 on the other side, and 1 on the other side of the roof over there. They're all hooked together in different ways, and they all run to one junction box right there. And this junction box goes through the roof, and then there's wires that we ran the other day that go in the attic and down to a panel downstairs. And then they feed right into the panel.
There we go. The first layer of solar panels. Come on, sunshine. Give us power.
Got it?
Yep.
That's not good. I think I gotta go get a tool. That's not good. Take that thing off the sun till I get back.
That's so funny. He connected the solar panel to itself, and you can't unconnect it.
Not producing anything.
Nice.
Now, let's put this one in here. That'll go better.
That's a game changer. It drops right down there.
Right. That will be gone forever. All right, this goes up pretty close to the top.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem...
Level? Probably not. Sorry, we'll measure it from the top.
Good. 4.5. 5. Right? This needs to come up a little. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, 85.5. So let's put the one on here. And
What?
measure this side, because I got the same problem here. If that's true, we can just undo these.
Well, we could also just undo it and then move it this way.
True. So we are, we just got all the panels on.
That was a lot of work.
It's hot.
That was hot.
Took 4 of us.
Yeah.
Well, we put on 39 panels, but they're not working.
So what do you mean by the fact that they're not working? Because they're all hooked up, they all wired in.
And the little microinverters flashed
Yeah.
6 times green like they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
We put on the rails
Yeah.
and all the system. That's called iron ridge.
Okay.
That's all the clamping and all that stuff. And we put on the microinverters, and that's this manual. And then, no, that's this manual. And then we put on, like the manual said, we've got all of the, these are all the little barcodes on each of the microinverters. So that's done. And then there's another piece. Then the batteries are installed downstairs. We wired them to a new panel. Then that panel, the sub panel, goes into the main panel, and it's supposed to be that the panels turn DC power into AC power using these microinverters. The microinverters go through their own breakers. Then they go down and feed into the main panel. And supposedly our power is supposed to be coming from that, but it's not. And I have found that, you know, when somebody sells you something, they go, oh, it's easy. That's because they've never done it. So this is not easy. It's not incredibly hard, but it's not easy. So I think there's a piece called an envoy.
Not incredibly hard, he says.
There's a thing called an envoy down there, and it's just a little box about this big. And I think that's what I have to do next is this part 2, installation part 2. There's an app with an installer toolkit that you go on and you start going through all of these steps, and they say you start provisioning devices. So I think we have to do that now.
All right, let's do that and get some solar power.
That'll be pretty cool. We get this done. So everything is mounted. Everything is in. Everything is on. It's taken. We started researching this. I started researching this about a month and a half ago, trying to figure out what to put on. We ordered it a month ago, and it's all on. So
that's pretty awesome.
plus a new roof.
Plus a new roof.